Hey, Teddy K here for the Best Buy blog, and in this video we're taking a look at the Sonos Ace, Sonos' first pair of headphones ever that come with a lot of interesting features and a little bit of integration. Sonos has done it. They have entered the headphone space officially now with the Ace. This is their first pair of headphones, their only pair of headphones to date, and it kind of heralds a new era for the company that has spent 2 decades establishing itself as a leader in the home audio space. But what about in between your ears? How do you then translate that to a pair of cans like these? Other companies have done it. I mean, this is not unusual. So what Sonos has done is not unusual in the grander scheme, but it is different for the company itself, which seem to have avoided doing this sort of thing before. The key, of course, is to apply what Sonos has done on the speakers and soundbars and bring it to the headphones. So the tuning is going to feel very familiar, I think, out of the box. There's going to be a balanced sound. I'll get to that a little bit, but it's a balanced sound. So there's definitely bass, there's definitely treble, and there are mids as well. Audiophiles, I'm sure, will feel one way or another about the sound from off the bat, and I should note that you don't have a whole lot of control over how these are tuned. So while you can control bass and treble or loudness in the Sonos app, you don't have like a 5 or 10 band EQ or anything like that to really get fine-tune what it is you're looking for. No presets either, so there's not like you can choose a preset for a certain type of genre or anything like that like other manufacturers usually offer. These are supposed to kind of stand on their own like as soon as you take them out of the package, they're supposed to stand on their own and sound good right away. They do, and they do for a couple of key reasons that I'm going to point out. First is the noise control. So active noise cancellation on one hand, and then you have aware mode, which is the ambient mode that pipes in sound from outside so that you can hear your surroundings while you're wearing them. Both are superb. Better than I expected, actually. I wasn't sure what to expect on the noise cancellation side. You know, the likes of Sony and Bose clearly are leaders in that regard. But Sonos really does very, very well for a debut for headphones, and a company that I've never been associated with any kind of noise cancellation. It is excellent. I use that on a plane, a subway train, out and about, like in public, on the street, and was very impressed at how well it muffled a lot of those sounds. It was excellent. I mean, it really allowed me to not raise the volume as much, which of course means that you save some battery life in the process. But I would argue, actually, I think I was more impressed with the aware mode. I thought the aware mode was stellar. It's one of the best I've seen on a pair of headphones, to be honest. The reason being is that it feels like you're not wearing them. So for example, now if I put the headphones on right now, okay, and I switch to aware mode, I can hear everything that I'm saying clearly, as if it sounds slightly different. Yes, obviously it's not the same as not wearing them at all entirely, but it's very, very close. And so I can hear everything that I'm saying very, very clearly. If I was hearing conversations, I could speak with people, I could hear announcements, all that stuff, anything as far as street noise, I knew where cars were coming from. Directionally, I was aware of everything that was going on around me while I was wearing them, walking around in public. And the audio wasn't adversely affected because of it. So if I'm listening to a podcast as I'm, taking a walk or anything like that, I could still hear the podcast clearly, but I could also still hear the noise around me as well. Again, there are no granular adjustments here, so it's not like you have different stages or steps as far as how much you want to pipe in or how much sound you want to block out with noise cancellation as well. There's also support for high-res audio and spatial audio. So on the high-res audio part, you have Bluetooth, where aptX lossless and aptX adaptive are supported. So if you are using a device, this is primarily going to be for Android devices. You're using an Android device and you're also listening from a source that offers high-res audio. So that would be Apple Music or Amazon Music, Tidal, those types of platforms, not Spotify yet. Then you would be able to hear that music at a higher bit rate. If you plug in, there are 2 cables. So there's the USB-C to USB-C cable and the USB-C to 3.5 millimeter cable. So basically like a headphone jack. So I have those cables right here. So either one of these cables, if you plug in, you can then listen to wired playback, which at that point, no Bluetooth codecs obviously apply, and you can listen to as high a bit rate as is offered. So it's perfect if you want to plug in. My only complaint is that the USB-C to USB-C cable is quite short. So it would work if you were putting the phone in a jacket pocket, but it's a little too short if you're putting it in like a pants pocket. That's the only thing. I think it should be a longer cable. I'm not sure why it's so short. But in any case, it works really well. You just plug in, play, and that's it. There's nothing really to set up. On the spatial audio side, so there is Dolby Atmos support, just like there is with Sonos' speakers and soundbars. It works very much the same way. So the idea is to give you a virtual surround effect within your ears. Now, the True Cinema feature, which is not available as of this review, is supposed to emulate the room that you're in. So as you know, with TruePlay, where you're basically mapping the room around you so that the soundbar or speaker can play based on the acoustics of the room, it's supposed to apply that kind of effect with your headphones. But right now, it's not quite doing that. It's doing it virtually, but it's not based on the room that you're in, so that you can feel like you're listening to the same content, to the same audio, regardless of whether you're using the headphones or you're not using the headphones. There is head tracking as well for spatial audio. So if you're moving your head around, it depends. It can move with you, or it can move so that the sound feels like it's coming from in front of you. Either way, you can turn that option on or off. You don't have to go into the Sonos app necessarily turn on spatial audio, but you do have to go to the Sonos app to turn head tracking on or off. So that's one thing to keep in mind also if it's one of those features that you want to toggle at will. One thing I'm sure Sonos purists are going to lament here is that there's little to no integration with the wider Sonos ecosystem. So if you have a bunch of speakers set up at home, they're not going to be able to talk to these headphones. The only exception right now as of this review is the Sonos Arc soundbar, where you can do what's called a TV audio swap. You'll have to set this up right now through an iOS device. There will be support for that on coming to Android later on at some point. But for now, you would need an iPhone or an iPad to set this up. You can't do it through a Mac either, or even a PC. It has to be an iOS device. The idea basically is that you'll be linking the headphones to the Arc. So this way, what happens is that when you want to transfer the audio from the soundbar to the headphones, you just have to hold down the button, the content key button here in the back, hold it down, and then it'll switch over. It's really seamless. Once you set it up, it's actually super simple to do. You could also just tap the button on the app and then it'll do it that way too. Either way, this is one of the key features, I think, because it privatizes audio in ways that probably would save some couples and families from some arguments, especially if you're up late, you're a gamer, things like that. It doesn't matter what audio is passing through the Arc. So if you have your game console, streaming box, anything that's set up through the TV and the Arc will play through the headphones. So it doesn't matter what it is, which is great. I loved it actually for that, because I could stay up late, I could watch a movie or a show, or even watch a game, and I'm not disturbing anybody else who might need silence or peace and quiet, or sleeping, right? So that is a key feature. Sonos will expand that to the other soundbars, the Beam 2, the Arc SL, and the Ray at some later time, probably in the next few months, but they didn't give a specified date. Either way, this is specific to the soundbars. So there's no way, for example, to use an Era speaker, a Move, a Roam even, anything like that, and then transfer the audio from those speakers to the headphones. That's not an option. The Wi-Fi capability on the Ace headphones is specific only right now to the Arc and then eventually the other soundbars. I can see how that can be vexing, considering that one of Sonos's major selling points has been a connected system, right? So that everything kind of moves in sequence. You can transfer audio over to one or the other. Technically, you can do this through the Sonos app, but it doesn't feel seamless. For example, the Ace will not appear as one of the playback products or playback devices within the Sonos app. So it's not like, for example, you're playing music on a Move 2 and then you want to transfer it to the Ace. There's no set way to do that on the app. You'd have to basically stop playback on the speaker and then start it from the headphones. So a little disjointed. Hopefully that's something Sonos will fix, but at this point they have not specified or even confirmed that anything like that is coming. A couple other things. Now, battery life is going to be a fluid number. Sonos rates it at 30 hours per charge. That's based on Bluetooth and at default volume. No question, if you're doing the TV audio swap, because it's a Wi-Fi connection, that's going to drain the battery faster. I can't quantify the exact number for you, but I would say it probably would knock it down a third, if I'm just kind of approximating what I think it would be. So not bad, but again, it also depends on volume levels. So if you're using TV audio swap, but you've got the volume cranked up, I mean, that's obviously going to affect it too. Volume levels are always going to affect battery life. So even if you're on Bluetooth and you really like it loud, you're not getting 30 hours. It's that simple. But generally speaking, though, the battery holds up quite well and it charges very quickly. So for example, if you plug in for 3 minutes, you do a quick 3-minute charge, you'll get up to 3 hours of playback. Again, that's based on default volumes. So if you needed a quick charge for a commute or something like that, you should be good to go in just 3 minutes. It's actually pretty good and it works very, very well. The other thing that I really like too is that the ear cups are replaceable. So this is great if the vegan leather that Sonos is using doesn't necessarily hold up over time. You can replace those ear pads and actually you can even swap colors if you want. So if, for example, if you want soft white on black, you can do that if you want to. Or if Sonos eventually launches other colors of the Ace, there may be options for that as well. It makes them a lot easier to clean too. So if you wanted to keep them clean, sanitized, things like that, the removable cups make that so much easier to do. And the magnets are strong, so the cups won't fall out in any way. Like, you do have to kind of pry them open. So no worries as far as that goes. Now the case, it does come with a protective case. This case is pretty good. It's made of recycled materials and it's nice. It's not a hard shell, but it's not a soft shell. It's kind of in between. Good protection. There's a pouch inside that magnetically sticks to the center so that you can keep your cables in there as well. The only thing is that because it's this felt-like material, it does attract some lint. So that's one thing just to keep in mind based on where you place it, that you may have to use like a lint roller every so often just to kind of clean it up a little bit. But generally, it's a very nice case. So I'm just going to summarize. This is an interesting product for Sonos. It is something they haven't done before, something that people wanted, but maybe not in the way they wanted it, depending on who you ask. So I can see it being a divisive product simply because Sonos purists may have expected one thing, whereas those who aren't as familiar with the brand or maybe had different expectations might say, finally, you guys did it. And they did it well. This is a solid debut. The audio quality is excellent. I would have liked more control over that personally, but it is what it is. And the noise control is fantastic. So they did a great job with the noise cancellation, the aware mode. That works really, really well. Solid pair of headphones, but very expensive too. So they are up against some of the best in the business. When you look at Sony and Bose, their best headphones, they are around the same price range. So it's going to be a choice you'd have to make based on what it is that you're looking for. And that's my review of the Sonos Ace, available at Best Buy now. You can actually learn more about them by clicking that link below. For the Best Buy blog, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.